Where do I find music grants, and what music grants are available to me? These are two common questions that I get in my DMs and my emails all the time, and I wanted to spend today's video answering it specifically for you. If you're somebody who's looking for music grants and trying to figure out which ones are the right ones to approach based on your location in the world, you're going to want to pay special attention to this video because I'm going to help answer these questions and give you a whole lot more information that'll help you win your first music grant. Are you ready? Let's go. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is your boy 5-Piece producer, engineer, and grant writer extraordinaire. Thank you for checking out today's video. As always, if you haven't already, please hit the bell and subscribe button down below to stay tuned for more helpful videos. Smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm so it can show you some more of my content. And realistically, every single week, I'm focused on helping you sound better and helping you make more money with your music. If you want help with these areas, definitely subscribe to the channel so I can help you with that. But in today's video, we're talking all about music grants and where to find them. Now, depending on where you are in the world, you may or may not have access to music grants, but I wanted to try to make this as helpful for everybody as possible. I'm based in Canada, so I'm definitely going to be focusing on the Canadian music grants out there, but there's definitely some other stuff available depending on where you are located, and I'll give you the recipe to figure out what you could find that applies to you by the end of this video. Typically, music grants exist at 3 different levels. At least in Canada they do, and most other countries that offer them are very, very similar. The first level is the federal level. These are federal grants that are basically subsidized by the Canadian government or other not-for-profit agencies that are available to music creators located anywhere in Canada. And the way that they validate that is by you having an actual permanent address located in Canada. So it can't be a PO box, you can't fake this. You have to have an actual permanent address located in Canada that you've been living at for 12 months or more. But as long as you meet that criteria, you can apply to organizations like Canada Council for the Arts or Factor. These are 2 of the biggest ones in Canada. I'm sure there are more. For example, there's the SOCAN Foundation. SOCAN you might recognize. It's the same group of people that gather your performance royalties and pay them out to you every quarter. So they offer some grants as well. But typically, these are the big 2 in Canada for federal grants that are, again, available nationally to anyone located anywhere in Canada. Next up, we have provincial grants, and these are grants that are available to people in specific provinces, and you have to live in that province for, again, 12 months on average, and you have to have a permanent mailing address in that province. So you can't have a PO box, you have to actually live in that province and prove it. Now, there's literally an arts organization or a grants organization in each individual province, and they're typically named after the province itself. As you can see at the bottom of the screen here, you have British Columbia Arts Council, Ontario Arts Council, and Arts Nova Scotia. Now, each of these are distinctive organizations that you can only apply to if you're a citizen of that province. So, for example, if I'm living in British Columbia, I have to apply to the British Columbia Arts Council. I can't apply to the Ontario Arts Council or Arts Nova Scotia. And the same goes the other way around. I'm from Toronto specifically, so I'm in Ontario. I have to apply to the Ontario Arts Council if I want a provincial grant. I can't go to Arts Nova Scotia or BC Arts Council. Now, these are just a few examples. There's literally an arts council for every single province out there, so you definitely want to do some research and see which one is applicable to you. For example, you might be in Manitoba. Manitoba Arts Council might be the ticket for you. Now, the third level of music grants that's available are municipal grants, and these are available to music creators that are located in a specific municipality, aka a specific town or city. So you can see at the bottom of the screen, again, there's a few different examples, but the thing is you have to be living in this city with a permanent address for at least 12 months, once again, in order to qualify and be eligible for these grants. And again, there may be some additional eligibility criteria, as I mentioned previously. Just to use myself as an example again, I'm from Toronto, so I would apply to the Toronto Arts Council. Now, if you don't live in Toronto, if you live even in the GTA, so if you live in Brampton, which is a municipality outside of Toronto, you can't apply to the Toronto Arts Council. You could still apply to the Ontario Arts Council, just like somebody from Toronto could, or somebody from Mississauga could, and some of these other cities that are within Ontario but outside of Toronto, but you cannot apply to the Toronto Arts Council. Someone from Toronto wouldn't be applying to the City of Vancouver and their grants, or the Calgary Arts Development grants that are available, or the ones available from Winnipeg Arts Council. These are specific municipalities, and the only way to be eligible for these grants is to live in those specific municipalities and have some sort of proof. But you can see here how there's 3 distinctive levels: federal, provincial, and municipal, that you can apply to and tap into for funding. And there's no limit to this. You can combine them all, or you can just chase them one by one. It's totally up to you. Now, the question you're probably wondering is, how do I find grants that are applicable to me? And you should already have some idea based on what I just told you for each of these, but maybe you're somewhere that I haven't mentioned and you want to figure this out for yourself. The easiest way is to literally just go online and search. Use Google or whatever search engine is available to you, but Google's typically the best. And just type in your location, music grants, okay? But obviously you want to replace the your location that you see on screen with your city, your province, and if you're outside of Canada, even replace it with your country. So for example, as myself, a Toronto music creator, I would type in Toronto Music Grants. I would type in Ontario Music Grants. I would type in Canada Music Grants, and these will all yield different results that all probably apply to my own eligibility. All right. Now, if you're somewhere else, if you're in the United States, you may want to type in United States Music Grants. And then you want to drill down by your state instead of province and your city. So maybe you want to look up, Georgia Music Grants, and then go down one layer deeper. Atlanta Music Grants. You kind of get the idea, but this should be more than enough information to find stuff that is applicable to you. And if nothing pops up, chances are you just don't have access to grant programs. Wherever you're from is just not offering them, because it is a bit of a first world advantage, right? You have to have a good economy that's willing to subsidize the arts, because what these grants are ultimately doing is they're taking money, they're putting it in the hands of creators, and then these creators are going to take that money and then reinvest it into the local economy that it came from. So for example, if I'm getting a grant from the Ontario Arts Council, that money is ultimately going to get reinvested into Ontario, and that's actually a stipulation that I would agree to when I win that grant. And each organization is going to have their own stipulations as a result. Now, once you've figured out exactly what grant organizations exist around you and cater to people like you in your region, such as your province or your city or even your country, the next thing you want to do is you want to double check and make sure that you meet their eligibility criteria. Now, this is just specific criteria they have in place that just lets you know exactly who's supposed to be applying for these funding programs. Sometimes the criteria is very strict, like you have to be an incorporated business that's made a certain amount of revenue every year for the past 3 years. And sometimes it's a bit more loose, like you have to be a professional musician. So what you want to do is you want to look for this eligibility criteria, and there's a number of different ways you can find it. Typically what you want to do is you want to go to the grant programs that they offer, look at those programs, and it'll summarize who the program is for and who's eligible in that specific situation. So right now I have the Ontario Arts Council up here, and if I navigate to a specific program that's for musicians, because they offer a bunch of different programs for different art disciplines, if I'm looking at their music recording projects, which is one of their most popular programs intended for musicians, if I scroll down on the page, I'm going to see that it says eligible applicants. And it gives me a list of who is actually eligible for this grant. So for example, it says professional musicians and composers who are Ontario residents. The other criteria could be professional music ad hoc groups / collectives and organizations based in Ontario. And finally, Ontario-based professionally led community orchestras and choirs, as well as choral training groups whose project includes fees to professional musicians or composers. Now, you don't have to be all of these things, you just have to be one of them. And the truth is, most people will be a professional musician and composer. And assuming that you live in Ontario, you are now therefore qualified and able to apply to this grant. And once you've done this, you can take the next step, and I'm actually going to leave a link to another video up above here that teaches you how to apply to a grant step by step, what you need to do and what you need to be mindful of in order to proceed with the application process. If you got value out of this video, please like, subscribe, and share. Share it with somebody you know it's going to help. Smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm so it'll show you some more of my content and also help other people discover it as well. And if you want to see anything in a future video, please leave it in the comments below so I could shoot something specific for you. Looking forward to helping you more, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.
5